I go by this philosophy is that everyone needs three things in life, and that is significance, transcendence, and community. If you have those three things, you can conquer just about anything. And so we know, if you look at the world, there's a lot of people that don't feel significant because they're looking for something to fulfill them.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is 99 miles per hour with Perci Garner. And we'd like to thank our sponsor, Your Pizza, the finest pizza anywhere. But if you don't like pizza, which everyone does, they got wings, sandwiches, subs, and of course salads for those of you who like to be healthy, not like me. Also, I would like to mention the network that allows me to have this podcast, and that is the Get Level Podcast Network. There's plenty of other podcasts, a lot of content to get through. And also, go check out the website, getlevelpod.com. It'll be up somewhere around here. Go there, check out all the websites. You can also listen. If you don't want to watch the whole thing, you can listen audible without any interruptions. And then also to the Rainbow Connection. I am the new executive director there, and we are having our telethon that we have every year. And we're expecting big things, even though in these tough times, we know the community can always come through. That is March 7th, that's starting at 11 a.m. And then also my scholarship fund, also trying to raise money for a Dover student in these hard times to get some help for them to attend college.
Welcome to me casa, make yourself at home, do your do. Welcome to my pad, this your lab, go create your move.
What's good, everybody? Welcome to 99 miles per hour with me, your host, Perci Garner, and we have a special guest today. I know I always say that, but this guest is very special to me. You'll find out in a second. But so our guest today is the pastor of the church that this podcast studio is in, and I had the pleasure of trying to sell him some technology right before the pandemic, and that's how we met. And he said, "Hey, I have a podcast studio," and I said, "No, you don't." But he said, I do. And you want to come see it? I came and looked at it, and the rest is history. Now I'm here, and it's all thanks to Rob Coburn, or Two Fires.
Yeah.
Appreciate you coming, and good having you here. How you doing?
It is amazing to be here and to watch the evolution of podcasts in this place, your podcast, the other 11 or 12 that are going on. And it's an honor to host them here, and it's good to be on the show.
Yeah, it was a plan to get you here at all the whole time, but I was perfecting my craft. Not that I'm there yet. Maybe 300 more episodes, I'll be perfect. But I'm very grateful for one. I don't know how we got out of the sales talk of where we were when we were meeting, but I'm glad we did.
Yeah.
Obviously, I would have loved to sell you something back then, but the things that have branched off and created is just it's magical in my book, and I'm very grateful, and I'm just happy that you have this vision, that you're into production, and we'll get into that in a second. But let's just talk about, what church service for a pastor that, took over a church right before the pandemic.
Yeah. I came to be the lead pastor here. I was appointed September 8th, 2019. And of course, you're a new pastor. You're ready to go take on new challenges and go forth. And little did I know that COVID was right around the corner. But God is so good in that I have been a person who has dealt with crisis in life with people and myself and different things. And so stepping into the COVID situation, I think that we had a calm perspective. We were waiting on the Lord to see what was going to happen and where we needed to move and make adjustments. And it all worked out. I mean, we closed down for a little while, then we put some safety things in place, and then we're back open because we're created for relationship. Mm-hmm. God breathed into man and created us to be in relationship with one another and with Him. And this pandemic has opened the eyes of the world to see what non-relationship actually looks like. All the things that are exploding, negatively in the world because there isn't relationship and communion going on and all that stuff. So we wanted to get back as soon as we could. of course, being safe as possible, and we're rolling along.
Well, that's good to hear. I mean, being safe, what that means these days is it's crazy.
Right.
I know we were talking today just how I gotten so comfortable on the microphone now that we got to make sure Josh, washes these down. But obviously me not being a part of this church, but still tuning in. I was tuning in actually every Sunday. I was watching both my church and your church just because, meeting you, I was like, man, this is great. And it's just the way different churches, worship and come to God, and just what I want to say, the way they behave in the surroundings. I think it's cool. I like watching people. I'm supposed to be paying attention and worshiping God myself, but I love watching people because sometimes I feed off people's energy and the way people are. But for me, I'm just happy that you guys are doing it. And I didn't doubt you at all. So I know you said,
well, it's hard to get that in your living room.
Yeah,
I mean, it really is. And as much as it's great that we have technology that can literally broadcast around the world, which I know we'll talk about, but there is a lack of relationship when you're sitting in your living room, and lack of experience in worship. And believe me, we did it. And I watched our own service Christmas Eve. We pre-recorded it and I watched it, and I can see how it's comfortable, but lots more transformation happens when you're in relationship and together in a place.
Yes, for sure. And just so make sure people know that, church doesn't always have to be this beautiful building, and this is a beautiful building. It's just a gathering of people, and the focus being Jesus and God. And that's, we've had to be very creative lately, but, people are going back to church, numbers are down, we're doing well. And, but I kind of want to, obviously we know, you're a pastor, but you've had a lot of experiences before you came to Dover Summit.
Yeah.
And I kind of want to, dive into those because, like I said, I take this opportunity to learn more about people. And you're an interesting guy. So I'm like, hey, I want to learn about Rob Coburn. I might just call you Rob Two Fires from now. But, what are your hobbies and what do you do outside of the church?
Oh, man. So I started my first company at 16. And so that has fueled my life. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And so going from serial entrepreneurship my whole life into being a pastor it had laid a great foundation for being a pastor, because in entrepreneurship, as you all know, you have to wear a lot of different hats. And as a pastor, you have to wear a lot of different hats. And so that is outside of church. I love business, and I love to consult with businesses and work through marketing plans and evaluate companies and do all of that. Whenever we talk about just rest, that's a hard thing for me. I'll be honest. I'm always doing something. And we just got back from Florida. We had a few days in Florida, and it's just hard for me to completely unplug, because I just love all the things that I do. If you hate going to work, you got a problem.
Yeah.
And I love the ministry, and I love doing the other stuff that I do. And if I can squeeze in a round of golf, I'll do that too.
Nice. Well, I mean, obviously with the snow we got around here, that's probably why you headed to Florida.
Exactly.
Now, and we have your daughter in the studio with us, and we're not going to flash the cameras to her at all, but I just want to, kind of talk about, obviously you got, the church, and, you just talked about business, and I'm growing very fond of business and learning about all that as well. How's that work in the family aspect?
The thing about parenting and life and family is that you've got to have your priorities straight, but you also have to realize that every part of it has to be fun. And so being able to unplug from the things that you love to do and plug into things that you can just go have fun and let your hair down. So our family likes to travel. Okay. I try to take my kids to different events all over the country. That slowed down the last year, obviously, but there wasn't a time where we weren't traveling. They're both online school, so we are able to travel and go do things. We have an RV, and we can just go and hang out. And so as family, that's the focus. Just get away from the hustle and bustle. We like to hike and do that kind of thing, canoe, kayak, do all that outside stuff. But but family is super important for perspective. Your position in anything that you do, whether it be business, church things or family, it's the perspective that you have when you enter those seasons and those times that really shapes the outcome. And so we as a family like to get away and travel and do that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to be doing that with my family here soon. I never really grew up going on vacations and stuff like that, so that's very important for me. So I want to make sure, my kids, they see, the world, and I didn't get to travel till I played baseball, and I was just eye-opening. I love it here, and I don't see me actually leaving here, living. I'm still going to live here, but, you got to see the world. Hey,
those weeks away every couple months, it's worth it to get some sun.
Yeah, and one of my old bosses was actually Steve Van Horn. He just sometimes, if he can't get away, he just goes to a hotel.
Yep.
And then in a neighboring city, and it's like, we're a little mini vacation. He stays for a night and then leaves.
That was our vacations whenever I was young. We would go away for a weekend, and because mom and dad both worked a lot, and so we would just go away for a weekend to Columbus or somewhere, and it was a vacation. It was time away, and it was good.
Yeah, that's what
we go a little further now, get a little warmer.
I don't blame you. There's some snow on the ground, and I was afraid it was going to snow today and cancel school tomorrow. There was once upon a time when I loved when school was canceled, but no more.
Definitely.
But so I want to get back into production, the podcast and all this stuff. Like, I get excited when I hear about your plans and stuff moving forward, and me potentially being a part of it, and just watching with you and Josh, and just the visions you have. So there's something coming out. I think I might have talked about this before, but AGA.
Yep.
Just kind of, I guess.
Give an overview of that.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. AGA, the AGA network stands for America's Greatest Awakening Network. I was on a mission trip in the before 2010, and the Lord gave me those words as I was laying on a cot in a room full of guys sleeping on cots on a mission trip in a school building. And I wrote in my journal, I was reading a book at the time that was talking about living out your dreams, and I was like, Lord, what is this name of this network? And so I just put it in my mystery bag. We all have a mystery bag. The Lord shows us things, and life gives us things we don't understand. We have to put it in our mystery bag, because if we just throw it away, we won't remember it and come back to it. So I have all my journals. At the end of every year, I go back and harvest my journal for the year. And that at the end of every year, I would write that in the beginning of my next journal, America's Greatest Awakening. And I really didn't know what that was, other than I knew that all the revivals in the history of our country have all started with a revival of a person, and turned into a revival of a community, and then turned into reformation of corporations and things over time. And so I knew that the word tells us that there's going to be a great harvest. And so there's going to have to be an awakening in America that's greater than anything we've seen. And so I just put that in the bag and continued to pray over it and ask the Lord what that meant. And lots of things that come out of it, but we can't go down all those roads, but God has opened a ton of doors. And so the AGA network is what you're referencing. We decided to start a television network that is focused on content that is healthy for family, content that is relevant to empowering you to achieve your dreams. And some of that will be sermon stuff from churches that just live broadcast on the network, like you would see. Other stuff is like we have an America channel where we have living history. So we have people come on that do reenactments of historical characters to teach real history. The history that our kids are learning in school today is not the history that we learned in school, because those who control the language control the history. And I don't want to get into all that, but but a lot of the things that we need to know so we don't repeat the atrocities of the world are being written out of history. And so we wanted historical characters to come. And so at the church, we do a thing called Living History Luncheon every month, and we bring in a historical character. They tell their story. You can ask questions. You can really dissect what that person was about. So we've had George Washington, and we've just lots of people, and and so they're on the network, and we're upping that game as well. But the ultimate vision of it is that there's a safe place where clean content, educational content, kingdom content, but ultimately the focus of my life has been to build platforms for other people to achieve their dreams. And so that started whenever I was really young. But so creating the AGA network is to create a platform for people who don't have a voice to be able to share their voice. And so you're a benefactor of that here in this facility because it's a dream that we've had in my heart for a long time. And so whether it's a podcast or an actual television show, we have people that do television shows on the network. So we just launched that in the middle of last year during the pandemic, and it's growing, but we're excited.
Nice. And that's going to be like, typical like Netflix and stuff like that. It's going to be an app that it's going to be everywhere. Just know it's going to be
already everywhere.
It is already everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And actually the organization that we partnered with designed Roku. So when you go to your app store, whether Android, Apple, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, you can see your show on there. But when you go there, you just type in America's Greatest Awakening. It'll pull up an app that says AGA. But when you open up that app, it actually is Roku. The same people that built the Roku platform we partnered with for this app. And we're excited about the possibilities. We have 2 24/7 channels coming out in the next month or two. But man, just creating a platform, allowing people to join, share the voice, share what God is showing them in the world, and whether it be business or finance or history or really anything. It's just a place where people can gather together and learn some things.
That's what's up. That's exciting, man. Just this stuff that, in this area, you don't really expect to happen. But that's why I'm like, I got to get Rob on the show because you're just, you go get it. And I love that. Now, I'm excited, about this new studio being built. When is that going to be done?
Well, we're working on it right now. Okay. We're negotiating things and working through stuff, but we have the actual facility for it. Now we're just negotiating on equipment and what that looks like, but a full television studio with green room and everything with it. So the goal is that we can produce our own news channel directly from here, reporting a godly perspective on what's going on in the world. Nice. And that's so needed. There are other ones that are doing it great right now. But I think that my focus isn't on the main voice of a movement. My focus is on all the voices that are in alignment with the voice of the movement, but that have never had a platform.
Gotcha.
And so I would love to see in all 50 states, in every county, which I don't know how many counties there are, but there's thousands. I would love to see one person who has a kingdom mindset that is a news follower and a news shaper, and be able to get them on the network and have a live show or even recorded from every county telling the county's news every day.
I love it.
That way you can tune into your own county, you can tune into the state. But anyway, that's just one of those dreams. If you don't have the mass of civilization goes to the grave with the song still in them. I just want to sing my song.
Yeah. So what is like your favorite thing about this? Is it the giving those who don't have a voice a chance to, express themselves, or is it me? I just like, the video and the whole production and preparing it and then editing and then it being up online and being able to watch it. I just love that whole thing. But
so this is the weird thing. In this age, you would think, pastor of a growing church wants to be online, wants to be like in the spotlight.
Yeah.
This is like the most uncomfortable thing I do. The point of the platform is to awaken the greatness in people, and from the 16-year-old that wants to share about the way they do TikTok videos. That's great. And what is that actually going to do to build people up?
Yeah.
I go by this philosophy is that everyone needs 3 things in life, and that is significance, transcendence, and community. If you have those 3 things, you can conquer just about anything. And so we know, if you look at the world, there's a lot of people that don't feel significant because they're looking for something to fulfill them. You look at the world and you see people getting caught up in crazy situations. They get caught up in crazy organizations, and it really derails their life. It's because they were trying to be a part of something bigger than themselves, transcendence. And then we often see in this hour, as we're talking, we see people searching for community. And it's innately in all of us that we need those three things: significance, transcendence, and community. I call them the big three. And they're not unique to me. It's just something that I came across years and years and years ago, and have really set that up in my ministry as being the three core values that when someone comes to me and is in need, I immediately go to those three questions. Are they significant in some way to someone? Are they a part of something bigger than themselves? And are they a part of a community? And if you can get those three things right, there can be a lot wrong in their life. But if you can align those three things, you're well down the path of seeing healing in them.
I love it. I like that. For me, I think it's important. I never had it put in those three words, but no matter how you put it, I think it's very important that you have. Most people think of core values as like a business mission statement, but I think there's people, if you can write down three things that that you want to be remembered for, or that you want to people to, like when they look at you, those are the three words they say. If we could all do that, I think probably going to be a better world overall if we can all do that.
For sure. And I think that one of the things that we have to understand is there's different phases in life, and the first phase is we're not in control of when we're kids, and the second phase is overcoming everything that happened while we were not in control and getting healed from all that. And then the third phase is actually finding our destiny and walking it out, and the fourth phase is actually our legacy that we leave. And I think that because most people don't do that and write down what they want and what they desire, they go into, they come out of where they were out of control in their life. They were a kid and they don't get healed correctly. So then they go into the third phase where they're trying to find their destiny and their dreams. And because they don't have a grid to process life, they carry the hurt from the past into their present. Mm-hmm. And that ruins companies, that ruins families. And man, if we could get that focus, that would be amazing.
Yeah. I've always revert back to Shaquille O'Neal and Emmitt Smith. Believe it or not, they used to come to like the post-game interviews with note cards with three words that they wanted to mention because that's what they want to be known for. And I think it's magical. And it just, I didn't exactly follow those steps like I should have, but I think it's very important. And I'm sure you, the type of person, I already see what you are, taking notes and reviewing those notes. Because I take notes, but I don't necessarily always go back and review them and, kind of grade yourself or just evaluate what you need to do to continue to move forward with those. And that's something I lack, and I need to get on that level.
So one of my mentors, the biggest thing I've taken away in my life from this mentor is that you take notes. Obviously, we all do. If you're taking notes, you remember 30% more, whatever that percentage is, but you remember more, so we take notes. But at the end of every conference, at the end of every meeting that I go to, sit down, take 15 minutes, review the notes, write out your highlights of the meeting and the notes, and then at the end of the year, so I've got leather-bound journals, at the end of the year, go back through everything and write down the high points off of that. And man, you can see your growth in a year. You can see the growth of everybody you've worked with in the year, and really just keep things in alignment.
And I've always been a fan of film study when I played football. So, I mean, I feel like that's similar.
Yeah, same thing. Yeah. So I think someday we'll be able to go back and watch the highlight reel of our lives, right?
Exactly. I'm kind of doing that with the telethon. I'm watching to see how they did stuff so the new one coming up. But,
there you go.
So obviously we've talked a lot about, your dreams and what your visions and just your outlook on, being a pastor in the church and what that looks like. I want to talk about, I always love to hear like what people have learned and what experiences they've gone through to get to where they are today. So like, being a pastor, having your own business at 16, I guess we'll expand on that. What have you learned? You've learned a lot. So we'll just say, what's the most important things you think you've learned from all this, I guess?
Don't take yourself too seriously. Always invite help. Don't try to just do it on your own. And so going back to that, started a company at 16. It was successful, making money, and then bought a company at 20, ran that for 13 years. And then went into ministry, helping missionaries around the world fundraise and get where God wanted them to be. and ultimately credentialed in Foursquare. I grew up Baptist. Now I'm a Pentecostal preacher. That's a big leap right there. But learned a lot because we got a good, God is good and he's a good dad. And if we value our time with him, we can learn a lot about who we are, who he created us to be. I talk to people a lot that feel like God's angry. God's angry at the world. Listen, he created you. He likes your big head. He likes your big ears. They can't see them because they're here. I've got big ears. He loves your big ears. He loves your personality. He loves that you're feisty. He loves all that stuff. And if we just don't take ourselves too seriously and allow ourselves to be loved by the creator of the world, we'll be able to be loved by those who we are in love with.
Yeah.
And if we get those relationships right, all the other stuff comes into focus. Yeah. And so my past, I've just had to learn. I mean, we lost a child that was 3 years old to meningitis, and that was a huge loss for my wife and I. And you know, as Cassie, you know, I came into the my wife Jen brought Cassie into the relationship, and so we joined and made a family. And a year after we got married, she passes away. That's a huge deal. Yeah. In a marriage, I know the percentage is pretty high of marriages that don't make it after a loss of a child. But man, the only way that you can function is to have that inner peace of the creator that actually cares that you are hurting and that wants you to succeed. Yeah. He always wants our success. And we've done things at the summit here in Dover that one of my first processes and why we're sitting in this room is because we have a dream board at the church. And the dream board is God has given everybody a dream. He's given you your dream points you to your destiny, right? Mm-hmm. We're all created for a purpose on the planet in this hour to accomplish something that only you can accomplish. And so that's your destiny. But he gives you dreams that point you in that direction. And then he gives you gifts and talents that help you get your dreams accomplished. And so I believe that if we don't, the scriptures tell us that you have to write it down, make it plain so that others may follow after it and run after it. And so one of the things as I was talking with people we were here 6.5 years before I took over, and you know, a lot of people had dreams in their heart, but you only found it when you were sitting at Starbucks, right? Yeah. And so the whole church needs to know, the whole city needs to know your dreams, the whole country, the whole world, because when people see you dreaming, there are people that are going to join that dream and make it accomplish quicker. Mm-hmm. There are those who don't care, and that's totally cool too. But if you don't share it, no one can buy into it. And so we wrote the dreams down on a dream board. We have it. You can walk down the steps and look at it, go read them. They're amazing. We pray over them every week. We do whatever we can to help those dreams come true. And so sitting in this seat right here is the manifestation of a dream that came from a sermon that Josh and Kyle and they had a dream to do this kind of thing. And so I started a podcast back in 2008, like back before podcasts were podcasts. I did 52 episodes. I did a year's worth. And then I was like, this is a lot of work. And I'm not saying that this isn't a lot of work, but back in the day, it was like we had to put the hamster in the wheel, have him start going, do all the stuff. but it's all about dreams. I mean, literally, our lives are all about dreams and destinies. Yeah.
And outside of baseball, it's always been my dream to make videos and make content for people. And hopefully they enjoy it. Yeah. But it's a long game. Every YouTuber or TV show or anything, those people didn't just get, hey, you know, I think you'd be a good spot here. Go ahead. No, it's been 10 years in the making. Right. And, you know, I think, you know, this podcast, I'm just getting started. I love the guests I have on here. Love my producer. Hopefully he puts up with me, you know, for the rest of our lives. And I'll be 60 here, 70 here, making podcasts.
Well, you're super successful, as you can see by everybody watching and listening to everything you're doing. I think that we're witnessing the birth of something great. And it came because you had a dream. And so if we can unlock the dreams in people's hearts, I challenge everybody that is watching this or listening, today before the end of the day, uncover the dream in somebody's heart that you love. Because if you don't know the dream of your significant partner, or you don't know the dream of your kids, or you don't know the dream of your cubicle worker at, you know, your your partner at work, whatever. If you don't know the dream, you're missing out on the best way to serve them.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and when you start to think about that, if you love somebody and you care about them, you have to know how to love them, just like with the 5 love languages and all that stuff. Right. So I think that falls right into that.
Yep.
Yeah. So.
But the thing that gets caught up in people's lives is they've been told no, they've been told they can't do it, they've been told there's no way that dream can happen. You cannot start a television network. You can start a television channel or a television show, but you can't start a network. Now that's way too big. If you don't release the dream, others aren't going to join you. And so our goal at the summit is, and you're a benefactor of that, is that we are focused on releasing the dream in other people. And so we see greatness in you. We want it to be released to the world because what you have will change the world.
You hear that, Josh? Well, I appreciate you saying that. And, there is a couple, before we do wrap up, there is a couple things that I really wanted to touch on just because it's become near and dear to my heart. And I know I've been here in this community for a while, but even before we get to that, there was something you talked about, with you losing a child. I just watched a movie and I love always directing something that happened, into content, whether content doesn't have to be video, but the book, or I just watched a movie, Collateral Beauty, with Will Smith. And, he had lost a child, and, I didn't cry or anything during the movie, but, Will brings that out of you. But just, always trying to find something, to inspire you. It helps me. And if you're not reading or consuming some type of content, you know what the most famous content is the Bible, but
yeah, exactly.
Consuming content just helps you, stay, because you have to be constantly poured into. And, what you've in this show, which is a different way to pour into people. You've been poured into me, and I'm like, you got me all excited just from all the stuff you're saying. But before we go, I know there's a big question that we just asked at my church, and my pastor had talked about it. And it's just, where do you think, because at once upon a time, the church was it for society, culture, everything, the church. Now, where we're at today, it is changed drastically, or it hasn't. I want to hear in my opinion, it's changed. In my opinion, it's changed. But I don't want to lead you into a one way. Just, what do you think? Where is it at?
Well, my perspective is this, that the call, the mission, the vision has never changed. It's over 2,000 years old. We are called to make nations our students. I rephrased the scripture there, but we're called to go awaken nations. We're called to go disciple nations. And so make nations our students is how I put it. But we are called to do that. That has never changed. We are called to impact our society. We are called to be ambassadors of the kingdom of heaven on earth. That's what we're called to do as believers. We're not here, and I know that this is sort of pushing the envelope, but we're not here to get fire insurance to get out of here. We're here to bring the kingdom of heaven to earth. And if we bring the kingdom of heaven to earth, we will see that evidenced in businesses, government, schools. We'll see it everywhere. Yeah. So has the outlook, or has the way that the church is seen by the world changed? I think that people don't value Sunday morning as much as they did. I think the world is living in fear. I believe that that we are at a place where the church's mission is the same, but how we do it is going to look completely different. We may not have churches with 3 to 10, 20, 30,000 or 200. We may have churches of 50 that need to be equipped on. See, and now you're getting me going. Now you're getting me going. And listen, I just gotta say this, okay? I grew up, when we lost Cassie, I was in a church. And if our call as believers is to make disciples, then, and to be in love with the Lord and have a relationship, then when someone goes through a really tough thing, then you would expect that the body of Christ would uplift that person, would build a way for that person to go from where they're broken to where they can be restored.
Yep.
We did not experience that, and I'm not saying that individuals didn't do that. I'm saying as a corporate body, the church didn't do that for us. And so we actually walked away from the Lord and walked away from church for a while. I shouldn't say walked away from the Lord. We still had our personal walk, but as a corporate thing, we didn't go to church for a while.
Gotcha.
And then there was this pastor who I owned a flower shop. It was my second company. And so this man would come in every Friday and buy his wife flowers, and he would come in and we would talk politics and we would talk school and we'd talk all this stuff. And it was great. And then one day he came in and he said, hey, there's an event going on at this for the, it was a food distribution thing in the city. And he said, you're a business owner, prominent business owner. I'd love to have you a part of that. Would you come to it? Salvation Army was involved in different things. And so I went. He came out on the stage of this event, announced as the pastor of a church. Oh, okay. And I sat there and I was like, I didn't experience this man as this man. I experienced Jesus, because he was talking to me. He was relating to me. He was bringing me through a healing process of losing a child. And he had no I wasn't going to his church. I wasn't doing anything. I was just someone that he saw greatness in. And he was willing to say, I'm going to lay down a half hour of my life every Friday or whatever to come in and talk to this person. The mission hasn't changed. The tactics need to. Yeah. The world is not going to be flooding in the door of the summit, although if you want to come, 302 East Slingleff Avenue in Dover, Ohio. But here's the thing. They may not come. They may watch us online. Great, thesummitdover.com. Anyway, no, I'm just sorry. But they may not come flooding in. They may not watch the live stream. But one thing I can guarantee you is that most of the people that come here are going to be like that pastor, and they're going to come into your flower shop. And they're going to ask you how you're doing, and they're going to talk to you about life. And that's my heart, because you know what? Where you're most broken and healed is where you have the most impact in your life. And I believe that I was broken, I was healed, the Lord touched us, our family, and that will forever be a turning point in my life. And I want to be that to everybody around me. And if that means building a studio or sitting down at a coffee shop talking with an owner for an hour and a half about business, they don't need to know. I don't like it when people introduce me as the pastor because it shuts a lot of doors because people have been hurt. Just introduce me as Rob, my friend Rob. And I'm going to come in and talk to you about life and do all that. And hopefully you'll see Christ in me. Yeah. That's the key.
Yeah. That's always my goal as well. No matter what arena I'm in.
Yeah.
But Rob,
good.
That was good. That's why I was like, I want to get to this one before I'll have you back on, episode 80th or something,
That's good. But just understand that the mission of the church has not changed.
Yeah.
We still have the Great Commission. We still have the same commission to go and do this together. It's just we may have to do it a little differently. And maybe it's behind a microphone. Maybe it's through a television screen. Maybe it's just having a conversation, because it's not about building a tribe inside. It's about releasing the kingdom outside.
Yeah. And I would have these conversations in the bullpen in Batavia, New York.
There you go. Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. That's what we're all called to do. Let's get to it. Right.
Love it. Yes. Challenge all you guys. Let's go. But no, Rob Two Fires. I appreciate having you on my show. Where, like I mentioned at the beginning, you probably don't want to be saying this, but without you, and your dream, and then God bringing us together for a sales call.
Yep.
I don't know where this would be. So I appreciate you coming by. I appreciate you having the dream and providing me with an opportunity to get my voice out. And, we have to hold you back. I wanted to get to, your book, but we're going
to do it real quick.
All right.
So I know you're a book guy and you like to read. This is a book that literally changed my life. It's called The Organic Reformation. We know that revival is for the individual, reformation is for the organization. And so this will help you look at the organic reformation of organizations. And so I wanted to give that to you as a gift.
Oh, this is mine.
That's your copy. And my only requirement whenever I give out a book is that when you're done with it, you have to tell me what you got from it.
Oh, okay.
So that's the challenge. My kids, they all love that challenge. But you gotta get something from it, and then make sure you let me know what it is.
Okay, I love it. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
I love a new pretty crisp book.
It's
just now I gotta go read this thing.
Yeah, it's short, but it's powerful.
Good. Well, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I love getting gifts on this podcast. No. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks to everybody, tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, and we'll be back again next Tuesday with another episode. And, if you're looking for a church home, I'm here, 302 Slingleaf, right?
Yep.
Is there East?
East Slingleaf Avenue, Dover, Ohio, Summit.
I don't live close anymore, but I used to.
Yeah.
That was the reason to get you over here. But thank you guys. Peace.
It feels like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. I got a crib by the water. Say me Casa Sucasa. It feels like Casablanca. Shawty, you my little mama. She be on that Henny. I like that.